Hello, everyone. Welcome to Made to Dream. I'm your host, Maya Chanel, and here we share stories from women around the world to inspire and encourage young girls and women around the world to dream without limitation. Today, I have the pleasure of speaking with Miss Linda Jordan, and she is a business coach. And I'm so excited. You guys already know by now that I'm super excited to have these conversations with amazing women. So I'm so excited to hear her story, and I'm excited to share it with you guys as well. So, hi, how are you doing today, Linda?
Hi, how are you, Maya? I'm doing
I'm
well.
awesome. I'm awesome. So, go ahead and I want to give you the space to introduce yourself to the audience and tell them a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Sure. So, as you indicated, my name is Linda Jordan. I live in North Carolina, but I was born and raised in Virginia on a farm. So, I'm a country girl by heart and worked in corporate America for 28 and a half years. And as I tell everyone, I was blessed with breast cancer, and now I'm an entrepreneur. And so
Mm.
my day to day consists of two things that I do. I'm a real estate investor, and then I am also a business coach where I help individuals, mostly semi retired individuals, who are ready to leave the corporate life due to stress and anxiety and enjoy their retirement years by investing in cash flowing rental properties so that they can have more fun, more
Mhm.
freedom, and enjoy the rest of their life. So I'm a business coach in that aspect, and I also do diversity and inclusion training.
Awesome, awesome. I love to see women paving the way. I love to see it. So tell us, I know you shared with us about how you got breast cancer and then became an entrepreneur. Just give us a little bit more of your backstory there and how you made your way from corporate America to entrepreneurship.
Sure. So, for first of all, I was in college, and unfortunately, sometimes we don't always have funds to finish our college lives. And so I didn't have the money. I came from a large family, as I said before. And so I had to drop out because I didn't have enough money to finish. And so I decided, okay, well, I've got to get a job because, college bills will be coming due as soon as you're not in college.
Right.
And so I got a job, and then luckily enough, I got a better job. So at my better job, where I retired from, it allowed me to go back to school. And so um, I was able to get my bachelor's and my master's degree by working.
Awesome.
And so that was really, really great. And so for all the young ladies that are listening, I think, people need to know that, when trouble comes around, there's always a different obstacle in your way, but then there's an opportunity. And so how do you change that obstacle into an opportunity? And so I worked in corporate America for 20 and a half years. And on December the 4th, 2014, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. And so to me, that was a calling from God to say, you're overworking yourself. I had high blood pressure, high cholesterol, overweight, and I knew that I needed to make a change in my life. And so to me, it was a blessing because had that not happened, I probably would have still been there, or something else would have happened. And so I raised my hand to say, I'm ready to take early retirement. And from that, then I decided that I needed to use my plan A, B, and C's that I already had in place. And that was being an entrepreneur. And so I just jumped right in and figured it out.
Mhm.
But going back a little bit, all my life I've always been an entrepreneur by trade, because when I was 12 years old, and as I said before, coming from a large family, you don't always have a lot of money. And so I had to figure out how do I get more money. And so years and years
Mhm.
ago, telling my age, there was a small shoe company called Stuart McGuire. And so I became a door-to-door shoe salesman or shoe
Wow.
saleswoman. And that's how I made my extra money. And so when I tell people that, they're like, what? That sounds like, the Andy Griffith show when they're selling shoes door to door. But I did that. And so I've always had an entrepreneurial spirit. And so, um, as an adult, I became an entrepreneur. And so I've been doing this now since 2015, full time as an entrepreneur.
Awesome, awesome. I want to jump back a little bit because, I love to get into mindset a lot and
Uh-huh.
different obstacles that we as women have been able to overcome. So I don't want to know the difference. Being in corporate America for 20 years, 20 plus years, and
20 years.
then, entrepreneurship. What was the difference in your obstacles you faced as a woman in the two?
Well, the first obstacle I'd say was, when you're in corporate America, everything is laid out for you. You know, your meetings are always planned, unless you're planning the meetings, but it's all driven by the
Mhm.
company. And so
Right.
my big obstacle was I was now the company. I was the CEO. And so, you're excited, but then at the same time, you're like, holy crap, I forgot to do all this. I've got to plan the meetings. I've got to plan the budget. I've got to, make all this stuff happen. And that was my biggest obstacle, was figuring it all out and being consistent with it, because
Mhm.
you know being a leader in corporate, you just kind of do it because you've been doing it for so long. But what I needed to
Mhm.
do was to figure out how was I going to take my learnings and education from corporate and put that into my own business so that I could be just as successful. So for me, that
Mhm.
was the biggest obstacle. And then secondly was, I love being around people. And as an entrepreneur, I was also a solopreneur. And so
Mhm.
not having my team around me, not having people to talk to, that was probably a bigger challenge to get adjusted to the quietness, or, I'm the person making the decision. So if something goes wrong, it's on me. So
Right.
those are probably my largest two challenges that I had to deal with and figure out how do I overcome that.
Most definitely. And I created my own little quote about that. And in its essence, there's a lot of people who are able to follow directions, but being an entrepreneur, you have to be able to create your own direction. So being
True.
able to take that and just create your own success, create your own rules, all of that and above,
Yeah,
that in itself is just, stressful. We all know
it
as
is. Yeah, it's
entrepreneurs,
very
it's stressful
stressful.
because usually, even if you're the CEO of a company, you still have some direction. You still have a direction that per se the board or someone wants you to follow. But,
Right.
entrepreneurship, you're everything. You have to
Yeah.
find out the direction that you want your company to go in and all of that and above. So, that itself is a task.
Yeah, it is. It is. And you have to be consistent. You have to be diligent. And you have to, be okay with the decisions that you make, because you can't blame anybody but yourself.
Right.
So that was
No,
that was huge.
definitely.
Yeah, that was huge. So, but it all works out, and I figured it out, but it did take some time to do that.
Hmm. So let's get into the mindset a little bit. I know that you climbed your way up the corporate ladder. How are you able to make different adjustments in your life? Because there is a transformation there, and you had to, as you climb, you constantly have to adjust your mindset. So how are you able to constantly adjust yourself to say, you know what, I can be better than I am in this space right now. I can do more. How are you able to do that for yourself?
So for me, I'm a middle child, and so
Me
as a middle
too.
child, are you really? I've
Only
always
girl and middle child.
Oh no, so there's four girls and four boys, so I was right there in the middle. Um,
Uh-huh.
so so I always had to adjust as a middle child, and so in my adult life and in my corporate life, I was always adjusting. And so for me in adjusting, what I mean by that is I always was trying to figure out, how do I get to be better? How do I get to that next level? Because, as a middle child, you have the older siblings and then you have the younger. And so in order to get attention, sometimes you have to like create a little havoc so that you get a little attention. And so in the corporate world, I was kind of doing the same thing. I kind of had to rock the boat a little bit sometimes, because in most cases in leadership, I was the only female of color in my team.
Hmm.
And so I had to do things to make sure that my voice was being heard because I was often not very outspoken. And that was because of just the way that I was raised. My mom always said, speak when you're spoken to. And so I had to sort of change some of that. But, I had to shift each time that I had an opportunity. So I had to work harder, I had to study harder. I stayed after work to do extra things to make sure that, I got the job done, but I got it done better than the next person would have. And so those are some of the challenges that, or obstacles that I was facing in order to, get to that level that I wanted to. So of course I was going to school all the time. I think I was in school probably 20 years of my 28 years.
Oh my goodness. Woo!
Yeah. That's because, some of the challenges that I faced was that, well, you're not qualified for that job because you don't have this education. And so I was like, okay, if I don't have it, I'm going to go back and get it. Or you don't have this certification or this training. So I'd go back and I'd get it. So I was always educating myself on some aspect of getting some type of certification because I kept getting obstacles in front of me. And I said, okay, well, I have to overcome them. And so in my mind, if I overcome all the obstacles, there's never someone could never challenge me to say, well, you can't meet this or you can't meet that. And so when I got to that point, then there were still challenges that you face, but sometimes they were not, they were more superficial, I would say, more so than anything. And so you just have to persevere. I'm a very prayerful person, so I prayed a lot. And I just did what, needed to be done to get to where I wanted to go.
No, definitely. Let's jump into the leadership space because I know as women, it can be very hard, especially in corporate America, when you're presiding over male figures and trying to, you have to be tough but like you also want to be yourself still and be personable and be that happy person, but you still have to like lay down the law because some people might not take you as seriously just because you're a woman. And it's like, okay, like, come on now. Like, you listen to your mom. Like, you can listen to me. So how did you overcome that obstacle of leadership in the corporate world?
So I am a very direct person when it comes to the corporate environment. I want T's crossed, I's dotted, and I want people to follow a process, but I also want them to understand, where I'm coming from because I am, again, that middle child syndrome was always playing in my head. So oftentimes people would take me the wrong way. Because maybe I was a female, but also being a female of color, oftentimes I was challenged with the term of, maybe I wasn't talking enough. And then sometimes if I was talking and, I wasn't saying the words the right way, or I was being perceived a different way. And so I ended up having to take a lot of self-assessments around how I communicate, perception, so that for me, number one, I wanted to make sure that I was being perceived correctly and I was communicating to others the appropriate way. But also for my team to make sure that they had an understanding of where I was coming from. But when you're dealing with men in the corporate world, you will be challenged so much because number one, it's corporate America and most companies are male dominated. And so it is challenging to help them see and understand where you're coming from, particularly if you have more education than they do, or you have more certification. So there's that, they have that, my perception was they had that fear that, I was trying to take their job, and I really wasn't. I'm just trying to do my job to the best of my ability. And sometimes it can be perceived negatively. So you have to just sort of like stop in your tracks and think about it. And oftentimes I just had to let things go because I didn't want to rock the boat to a certain degree. But I also wanted people to understand where I was coming from and to make sure that my voice was being heard and tasks that needed to be done were taken care of, as well as if I had opinions about change in the organization, that people took me seriously.
No, definitely. Do you feel like any of those leadership qualities have had to cross over or change into your life of entrepreneurship?
Um, Actually, no, I don't think so. And what's kind of weird is that in the real estate investing world, it's a lot of men in that area as well. And then I work
Hmm.
with, my husband's a contractor, and then his subs are all males. And so I work in that male dominated world from that side of the business. And it's a beautiful thing. I mean, they, when they see me coming, they're like, okay, here comes the boss. So, they listen to what I have to say and they ask my opinion. In the business world as a coach, sometimes it can be a little intimidating for men to have a female coach, but oftentimes that's something that they really are looking forward
Right.
to, is to hear from a woman's perspective. And
Hmm.
so I often have had more male people that come to me as a coach as opposed to women. Because
Hmm.
we as women sometimes, we've got to have the right female that's going to connect with us, and
Right.
sometimes men, they're just looking for somebody to help them.
Right. So let's talk about it. Like, why do you feel like you're more accepted, or, your title is more respected in an essence, in the, entrepreneurial space rather than the corporate world?
I think, well, according to what my husband says, he says,
He's
I
giving
am
you
no
that
longer,
male perspective. Okay, giving you the
yeah,
male
I'm no
perspective.
longer wearing, he says, I'm no longer wearing that corporate hat and I can talk like regular people. That's what he always says. Because he used to say when I was working, you come home, he says, you're always wearing that corporate hat. He says, I just want to hear Linda. And so being my own boss, I think I recognize a lot of things about me. And so
Mhm.
I'm more of who I am as a person, as opposed to when I was in corporate, I had to behave a certain way. I had
Mhm.
to act a certain way. I had to lead a certain way. And that's because, you're representing a large organization. And so I was always representing that organization. As an
Mhm.
entrepreneur, I'm representing Linda in my business and who I am, my beliefs and my values. Not to say I didn't do that in corporate, but
Right.
I'm in my own skin and I don't have to change
Right.
who I am in my own business. And so
Mhm.
that's what makes it so much more easier. It makes it less stressful because I don't have to answer to anyone but myself. And
Mhm.
I think my clients, they know what my beliefs and values are. And so we can connect so much better on a different level, as opposed to being that corporate person and, all they see is that company and they're like, oh goodness. Yeah.
Right, definitely creating your own definition or image of professionalism, because let's say you're an entrepreneurial artist, you can like come to work and dress up in whatever crazy wacky thing, and that's your
Right.
version of professionalism. And listen, your clients are going to accept that because that is your audience, that's who they're looking for, that's what they
Right.
want. So I think it's, just kind of a breath of fresh air just to be able to say, you know what, like, I don't have to act upon someone else's standards and I get to create my own. And that's the beauty of entrepreneurship.
Yeah, it is, and people just are so much more relaxed because we're all human, and of course when you're having your own business, you're having that simple conversation with someone, and you let them know that you truly do genuinely care about what's happening with them, because they're an entrepreneur or they're trying to go into entrepreneurship. So we can relate so much more as opposed to um, talking in a corporate sense.
Hmm. So, what would you say are some of your biggest inspirations? I know that you grew up as a middle child, so you always had to push the envelope and create your own pathway, make a little noise, make
Yeah.
it shake, make it rumble, all of that. What was some of your inspiration for your mindset, being able
Um,
to transform so easily?
say number one was coming from a large family and being in the middle. So I think that helped me to prepare myself in as an adult in the corporate world. My beliefs and values around faith. I pray daily, and so I'm a very religious person, and so that helps me
Hmm.
get through the day. I have my mantra, and so I know I can do this. I believe in something. I'm very passionate about it. So when you have a positive mindset and you surround yourself by individuals who also have a positive mindset, it just makes it so much easier to overcome those challenges. And
Right.
so, those are some of the things that helped me get through some of those challenges that I had. Even when I mentioned earlier, I had to work my way through college, even as an adult. But it's perseverance. And if you have a goal of what you want to do, or you have a dream of what you want to be, write those goals down and look at them frequently, and just remind yourself of, okay, this is where I'm trying to get to. And, you may have stumbles along the way, but as long as you know where that end goal is, you will get there. And you just connect with other people or network with different people that can help you along the way.
Right, definitely. If you need to take a detour because there's some blockages in the road, go ahead, just go right around, find another road, find another path.
Find another road.
Because it's always possible, no matter where you come from, your social, your economic, your religious status, anything is possible as long as you push.
Yeah, absolutely. And so even in corporate, and before I could get to I was director when I left, but before I could get to that leadership role, I had to take a step back because I saw where I wanted to go, but I knew that I had to take a different path. So, I went from a manager job to a regular employee job, and people said, "Why are you doing that?" And I said, I've been a manager for so long, I need to take a break, and I need to figure out where Linda wants to go to make sure I'm on the right path. And so I was a regular employee for like 2 years, loved it, and I learned so much that then I was able to go to that next level because I was ready for it. And I had prepared myself for it by learning more and, taking notes of how people responded to me, as well as things that I was doing very differently. So sometimes we have to take a step back in order to go 2 steps forward.
No, definitely. And doing that helps you to see, you know what, I've been a manager for so long, but I need to see how can I improve. So I need to step back into the space of, where the people that I was leading to see, some things that I can do differently, some things that I can do better, just learn from a different perspective. So I think that's really encouraging, really awesome. What would you say is something that you would say to women that are going through different things, that are seeing different roadblocks, to just inspire them and encourage them to just shoot for their dreams?
I would say for women, continue to follow your dreams because it's possible. Don't let roadblocks or challenges prevent you from getting to where you want to be. Don't let, I call it the noise, the haters, the doubters, don't let those voices prevent you from being successful. And so one of the things we have to do is as leaders, especially women leaders, is that, we get the doubters out first. And most of the time you start with friends and family, because, those are the ones when you're talking about, you want to take a step out of the box,
Right.
Like, you want to do that, you need to do this. So you get that all out of the way first. And if you
the words, that's not stable, it's not going to work.
Exactly.
No. They don't see your vision. You have to literally create your vision, and they support you once you've got it all out there. And other people are supporting you, like, oh, it did work.
Yeah, exactly. So get that out of the way first. And then everything else is a piece of cake. Because most of the time, we as women, we want support from our family, we want support from our friends, but that's most of the time we're not going to get it as often. And that's because those individuals haven't tried it before and they've never been an entrepreneur. So you can't allow your dream to be someone else's. So if you have a dream, you have to focus on that, because everybody doesn't have your dream. But as long as you have that dream and you believe in it, you know that it's possible, you persevere, you go through. You're going to have good days and bad days, but you just keep pushing yourself forward and you will eventually get there. Because life is not easy at the top. Life is not easy when you become successful. Oftentimes it can be very lonely. And so, sometimes we as women, and I can just speak for me, sometimes there's that fear of success, because then you're like, okay, what are people going to think? What are they going to say? You have those same types of feelings as if you did before you even started. Mm-hmm. So, again, surround yourselves by positive people, people with a positive mindset. But know that, you can do it irregardless. We as women, we can be mothers, we can be wives, we can be sisters, we can be the neighbor that helps everyone in the community. We can be the school teacher. We can be the principal. We can do all those roles and be successful. And so, one little struggle or challenge is not going to stop us. So we're powerful women. We can do it. It just takes a lot to do it. And having that right mindset and knowing that, that goal is right there for you, is just right at the tip of your fingers. Just keep persevering and you'll get there.
Definitely. And I love what you said about, sometimes the people around you may not be the ones supporting you, but there are plenty of people that are willing to support you. You have Facebook groups, you have mentorship programs, you have so many people out there that will push you along and give you the support along your journey. You just have to go out there and connect and find and network with them, so that you can make your journey a little bit more enjoyable, because it is lonely if you're just sitting there in your thoughts, like, oh my God, like, what if this doesn't work? I'm not getting what I need today. Find that support to be your little encouragement. If it's not around you, you can go find it. There's plenty of people out there that are willing to support and uplift you, especially women. I think it's a little bit more encouraging when it's coming from another woman, because you two can feel each other's pain, you can feel each other's emotions, all of that. We understand.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, yeah. But it's women have such power, and we're strong. We're stronger than what we think we are. Mm-hmm. And so we can do it. We just have to be in the right mindset. And, if you have to meditate to get your mind together, then do that. Go walk or whatever needs to happen. But yeah, we can do it. It just takes a lot to do it.
Yes, most definitely. Well, Linda, I want to give you the space to let the audience know if they want to reach you or find your services or follow your journey, how can they do that?
Sure. So they can go to my website, which is www.lindajordon.com. Or they can send me an email at linda@lrj-consulting.com. And so I also, so they can get a free, I have a free ebook, and it's called Elevation of the Mind, 10 Ways to De-Stress. Because we as women, we have so much on our plates, and sometimes we just need to exhale and let things go for a little bit. So
take a deep breath, hold it, and just release. It works for me when I'm feeling a little stressed.
Yeah, you kind of have to do that, because we're just juggling balls all the time.
Yes, oh my God, doing so much when we don't even have to do it. We're just doing it because we feel like we're supposed to be doing it.
Exactly. Yeah, we just stay so busy, and we really need to take time for ourselves, especially now with COVID. We've got so much going on.
Oh my God, yes.
Yeah, so we need to take time for ourselves. We don't have the luxury of going to get I guess some people can, but you can't just up and go and have a spa day because of COVID.
Right.
You've got to find other ways to relax and release that tension. And so there are some tips in my ebook that are very helpful for women.
Most definitely. We'll link all of that below in the description of this show. And we thank you so much, Linda, for coming and sharing your story. Enjoyed our conversation. I'm sure the listeners did too. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in again. This is Made to Dream. I'm your host, Maya Chanel, and see you next time.